Well, hello, everybody, my beautiful abundant healers. I am super excited to come back here today. We're going to be talking about soulful brand messaging, and we are coming here today. This is our third installment in a 5-part video series. Altogether, it's called 5 Steps to Master Soulful Brand Messaging. And so this is all a part of our 90-day long promotion for the Abundant Healer 90 Days to Scale Your Practice Online. And so what does that mean that we are in a launch cycle and promotional period? Well, basically that means that you're going to get a ton of juicy, content-rich, free activities and events like this live stream video series. We're also going to be doing a webinar next month to talk about different types of sales funnels and options for marketing for scaling your practice online. And we're also going to be doing a challenge to close out our launch cycle. So definitely stay tuned to your inbox. Stay tuned to your ManyChat messenger and also to this feed, because we're going to be covering so much tremendous content which is derived straight from my course, The Abundant Healer 90 Days to Scale Your Practice Online. And already we have Linda and Suzanne here. Woohoo, welcome. Also both alumni of the program. And so just as a reminder, over the course of this 5-part video series, you're going to walk away with a brand new About Me story for your website that clearly spells out your why, a clear and focused mission statement and elevator pitch for your brand and services, a powerful hook and what I like to call truth bomb that positions you in your market, as well as a soulful sales script that has your ideal clients reaching for their wallets and just fist pumping the air with a resounding yes. And okay, so today we are going to look specifically at how to identify your brand mission, values, and beliefs. And this is really so essential. It's really important to flesh out your why as opposed to just your how or your what. So in addition to drafting the foundations of your why story, you also need to have that clear brand mission, which is sometimes called your brand promise. Now, again, we've talked about this in the previous videos, but just to bring us back up to date, branding, a lot of us have this misconception that branding is about packaging. It's just about colors and font styles and websites, and that's all a part of it, but that's not even the biggest part of it. Branding is really about your mission moment. It's that crux of your About Me story. And as you start to examine that About Me story, things will spring up. Values that you hold dear will spring up, and those values and beliefs are what you want to be expressing in your practice, but also in the way you are promoting and marketing yourself online. So what are your values and the values that you want to express with your practice, with what it is that you are trying to deliver unto the world, right? So once you've identified a few of your values, you also want to jot down a few personal experiences or stories that illustrate those brand values. So I'll just give you an example. Values might be so in my practice, values are a story about how money is an expression of energy. That's a value that I have. That's a belief that I have. Money is just an expression of energy. And the more you can hone in on your vibe and start doing what feels good to you, then the more money will find its way to you. But you have to allow for that as well, which means that you have to let go of some kind of attachment to what that has to look like. Okay. Okay. So let's see if I can give you some more detailed examples here in my notes. Okay, so there's some important questions that you want to answer in establishing your beliefs and your values. So you want to think about, why do you do what you do? Why are you doing what you do? What change are you hoping to affect in the world? What are your values around that? Okay, and once you come up with the answer to those questions, that's when you start taking a heart-centered approach to your marketing copy and also to your content creation. So I'm going to give you some other examples of values. So some values in my program are commitment, community, creativity, decisiveness, knowledge, power, prosperity, spirituality, transparency, uniqueness, vision, self-sovereignty, abundance, transformation, exploration, alignment. I like to approach things from a more psycho-spiritual perspective, including business. So words, you might even just free associate on some words that come up around the things that you want to do and why you want to do them. And those can come to represent your values. So once you have identified a few values like that, I'd recommend jotting down a few personal experiences or stories that illustrate those brand values, that illustrate how you have experienced and or expanded upon your own brand values. So for example, as I said before, one of my brand values is that money responds to how you feel, to your vibe, to your energy, more than it does to what you do, especially if what you're doing is not coming from a place of harmonious alignment, okay, with the spirit of what it is that you are intending to do. I'm a bit of an essentialist, okay? So one time I had a really rough month financially, in which like my Facebook ads were not doing very well. And this is when they had been doing really well. And then all of a sudden they weren't doing well anymore. And so in my business, I have a tendency to use, sometimes I use the pendulum to make some business decisions. And actually, this is something I share a little bit about this in the bonus courses for the Abundant Healer, but this is an example. I was doing it this morning, actually, if you can see it. So basically, I just outline what my tasks might be for today, and then I will use the pendulum, and I will allow it to tell me the order and the priority in which I should do them. Sometimes it's not what I think. So I will write down what I think, and then I always leave, I always leave a little pie piece that says something else, that there may be something beyond my awareness that might be better off being attended to. And so I got something else, and then I did a little bit more leaning into it, meditating into it. And the wisdom I got was clean up first, then exercise, then ask again. So that means I needed to get my vibe to where it needs to be before I step into doing more heady kind of doing in the world, because it's just a reminder, like my vibe has to be where it needs to be before I can build any kind of apparatus through which my energy is going to call things in. So here's another example of that. At this time in my life, my Facebook ads weren't doing so well, and so I used the pendulum in a similar way that I showed you that I did today. And the wisdom I got was clean out the cabinets. Almost always it's some form of cleaning or exercising. And so at the time, I thought it was kind of bizarre advice, because I was like, my Facebook ads are failing. What's cleaning out the cabinets got to do with anything? But I figured I would do it because if I really believe in my brand mission and values, then I have to attend to whatever my vibe is first, because that's actually what calls in the abundances I seek, right? So I started cleaning out the cabinets, and I was watching that movie, The Greatest Showman, with Hugh Jackman, as I did so. And the storyline, if you haven't seen that film, really paralleled my desire to pursue a wild and crazy dream as this entrepreneur online, and even though it seemed really hard and impossible at times. And in the film, the character is ultimately successful, but then has to learn how to let the successes he has had in. He has to learn how to receive it and in order to feel worthy. And so by the end of the movie, I hope this isn't a spoiler alert, I was feeling really emotional, as I also started cleaning out the last corner of that cabinet. And so in a box in the farthest reaches of this cabinet, I found a plaque that had been gifted to me when I'd left a job 10 years ago. It was really a difficult job, but a lot of learning happened in that time. And I was the director of a creative arts therapies program at a women's health center. And the plaque said so many kind and thoughtful things about me, which was surprising to me because that population had given me such a hard time, but they had wonderful, kind things to say. And at the time when I received it, I appreciated it, but I don't think I appreciated it as much as I did in this moment 10 years later, cleaning out that cabinet. And I started crying because I finally really let those words sink in a way that I had not really allowed a decade before. And so I felt like it was kind of a pat on the back from the universe being like, keep going. And then after watching the cleaning out my cabinets and watching this film and feeling inspired, I checked my sales revenue, my dashboard again. And in the 2 hours, I hadn't been tweaking and messing and overworking my things. In the 2 hours I had just been cleaning my cabinets, I had 3 new course sales. And so at the basis of every action step is usually some kind of emotional vibration or signature working for or against you, depending on what you are accepting or not accepting in any given moment. And so in my program, the Abundant Healer 90 Days to Scale Your Practice Online, we really teach you how to build the physical apparatuses to channel that flow. Yes, Yes, we do that. But it also teaches you how to tend to your emotional health and vibration, because that is really what will keep you in sync and harmoniously flowing, I'm going to say downstream, rather than fighting the current. Okay. So to my mind, allowance really begins with an appreciation for everything that you've already accomplished and letting those things in. And that's when you start to remain open to your abundances showing up. Okay. So I recommend that you jot down a few of your values. And once you start to jot down those values, then you can start to understand where your beliefs are coming from. Oh, thank you, Suzanne. Suzanne says Brown's class is amazing. You're amazing. Okay. So now we've jotted down a few values, and now you can start to understand your beliefs about your work. Okay. So for example, I value community and spirituality, let's say. So therefore, in the context of business coaching for therapists, coaches, and healers, I believe that if therapists, coaches, and healers can scale their practices online, they can financially elevate and thus prioritize and empower the helping and healing professions in society. And so this would lend to increased access to care and people being able to heal themselves from the inside out on a much larger scale, kind of shifting the global social consciousness. I really believe that. And so that's a belief that I have. Another belief I have is that I also value creativity and alignment, doing things that you love to do. Okay. So in the context of business coaching for therapists, coaches, and healers, I might say that I believe every therapist, coach, and healer has a soul purpose that pertains to service in some fashion. And when they are in alignment with that soul purpose, with what they are doing feels good to them, and it feels like they're doing what they're on this earth to do, they are in a creative and a self-satisfied place. And so through that self-satisfaction, they are able to expand in their reach and really fill up their own circumference and their desire without having to burn out, but instead inspiring and fueling, let's say, the good works that they were put on this earth to do. So it's a shift, while oftentimes we are preoccupied with service, it's understanding that you have to have a full tank of gas before you can get anywhere. Okay. So, all right, that's all together. Those are the examples I wanted to share with you around values and beliefs. And so again, before we wrap this up, I'll go back to the first part. So you want to identify your values first. So what are your values with your business? And again, some of my values, for example, are commitment, community, creativity, decisiveness, knowledge, power, prosperity, spirituality, transparency, uniqueness, vision, self-sovereignty, abundance, transformation, exploration, and alignment. What words would you throw out to describe your values? Okay. And so once you've identified those values, just pick like 1, 2, or 3 and find a small illustrative story in your own experience. It could be a third-person testimonial or a case study of someone you know, but find a story in your experience that illustrates those values, okay, that demonstrates for us, shows us how those values operate in action, okay? And once you write out those stories, you have some wonderful content for your social media platforms, for your emails, even for content that you might create down the line in terms of building a course. Like I teach my abundant healers how to build a 6-week signature course to promote themselves. Okay. Now, once you have those values identified and you have those illustrative stories identified, again, they could be case studies if you have those, then you want to take a look at your beliefs. So as you take a look at your values and then your beliefs, then your values and then your illustrative stories, then you're going to extract your beliefs from them. So what do I believe? What is the answer to my so what question with illustrating these values that I have? Okay. So again, this speaks to your beliefs. Like, what do you believe will result of your being of service to the people you want to work with? What I call your soul clients. Right? Because to my mind, soul clients are people that are intended to find you. They're people that you are intended to work with for the purposes of mutual expansion in some way. Okay. So that is your assignment for this part of the videos, 5-part video series. And I would love it if you could comment below, maybe sharing with us a few of the values for your practice and your brand mission. Maybe you could even share with us one of your illustrative stories, or you could also even share with us some of the beliefs that spring from those stories. Oh, thank you, Linda. Oh, you guys are just giving me so much love. Thank you. And so lastly, again, the next week we're going to do our 4th and 5th installment of this 5-part video series. So we're going to talk about how to identify your hook and your unique message in your niche. So a hook is just basically what's going to make you stand out, what's going to catch a potential client's eye. And then we are going to talk a little bit more about the program. And I'm going to give you just a little snippet of the program today, but towards the end of the 5-part video series, I'm going to give you a lot more detail about the Abundant Healer program and how soulful brand messaging ties into, is a big part, but it's just a part of the larger puzzle. Okay, and I'm going to give you a picture of the larger puzzle because we are in the early bird enrollment period. So if you are interested in learning more about that, I'm going to put a link to the info page for the Abundant Healer in the caption of this video. And as a reminder, it's a program that includes the exact steps that I took to start bringing in up to $10,000 per month in online revenue as a therapist, coach, and healer. And it's intended to be a one-stop shop that takes you through what I call the leaping, landing, and thriving phases of your business. And that is even if you have no experience in marketing, online technologies, even if you've never written a course online or made $1 online, all without ideally having to spend a bunch of money on experts or gurus or piecing a bunch of different programs together. So really this program is like the Cadillac of how to scale your practice online. And so if you're interested, check it out. There's going to be a link to the early bird pricing and information page in the caption of this video. And again, if you are willing to share your brand values, illustrative stories, and or beliefs in the caption of this video, I would love to see them. Thank you so much, and I will catch you on the next live stream. And thank you, Linda and Suzanne.